For a first of a double feature day for the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, we're going to talk about the football program and guys that we're looking forward to getting back or getting more involved.
You are Locked On Sun Devils, your daily podcast on the Arizona State Sun Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On Sun Devils podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. My name is Richie Bradshaw, and I will be your guide for everything Arizona State Sun Devils. Thanks as always for tuning in and making us your first listen of the day. Wherever you're getting your podcast, hit like, subscribe, turn on notifications so you get an update whenever we post new content. And of course, you can stay in touch with that content by following me on Twitter. You can find me at RichieBrads36 and the podcast at LO_Sun Devils. Of course, a shout out to my everydayers as well, who are here every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off of your first purchase. All right, guys. So today is going to be a fun little double feature special. We're going to be talking about football for the first podcast today, and a little later this afternoon / this evening, we're going to talk basketball as well. The reason for this is because this is going to be a jam-packed week with football coverage, and the basketball schedule is kicking off next week. So I want to make sure that I get at least one more basketball episode in. Hopefully, I'll be able to get one in next week as well. Going to be jam-packed, potentially doing the same thing. We'll see. This is going to be a really interesting season to kind of incorporate a very hectic football season, but also with a potentially promising basketball season. So get ready for a lot of content. So now is the best time to hit like and subscribe. That being said, we're going to go ahead and jump into the football side of things. Today, we're going to be discussing players that the Sun Devils need to end the 2023 season. So these aren't necessarily guys that are coming back from injury, but keep in mind, I am going to be mentioning guys who are coming back from injury. This is also going to include guys that the Sun Devils just flat out need to step up for them. We're going to be discussing offensive and defensive line first. We're going to take a look at skill positions second, and then we'll end the show talking about the quarterbacks. So you guys can probably guess where we're going to be ending up going there, but we're going to start with the offensive line and then go to the defensive line. So with the offensive line, look, these guys aren't playing terrible football right now. I mean, when you consider everything that they have had to go through this year, all the injuries, 4 different quarterbacks under center at some point, the running back situation has been up and down for the team. I truly think the offensive line has done a more than admirable job. They've played far better than I gave them credit for heading into the year. They've played far better than really anyone's expectations. Like, I know there's going to be naysayers who say they played terrible and they're not a good offensive unit and like this, that, and the other. And it's like, I can understand that, but you also need to understand that these guys deserve some props and some credit as well. It's not that hard to be able to hand out the accolades to these guys in terms of like they've played better, right? Joey Ramos has been one of the really good standouts for the team. Isaiah Glass up and down, but the guys I want to discuss, we'll start with Bram Walden. It's no secret I'm a very big Bram Walden fan. I think that he has looked more than solid and more than comfortable at left tackle when he was filling in for Isaiah Glass. He missed this past weekend because he was dealing with an injury. I don't know when he's coming back, but what I do know is he's a guy that I want on the field in one way or another, whether you kick him in the guard, whether he becomes your right tackle so that you can move Joey Ramos back at the guard spot. Bram Walden is someone that I'm really looking forward to getting back this year. I think he's going to be a staple of the offensive line for the next 2 or 3 years, depending on the eligibility stuff that everybody knows I have a hard time keeping up with. Really like him. There's also some other depth that you're looking forward to. Aaron Frost, somebody that was a really interesting transfer when he was coming from Nevada. Haven't been able to see too much of him this year. Would really love to get him back in the folds because that offensive line depth just hasn't been there this year. You really need somebody like him to be able to come back for you. You're also looking for guys like Max Ironacre and Sean Naa to be able to come in as well. The bottom line is you just need depth at this spot right now. Really haven't had that this year, but some of the guys that you have had have played really good. Like Lee Fontanu has been a very good offensive lineman for the team and revolutionary at center when you consider the up and down play that they've been having the last couple of years. He's been more than good. So if you're able to get that depth back with Walden, with Frost, Ironacre, Naa, this is going to really help end the season in a very positive note. Because you got some good defenses coming up. You've got Utah this weekend. You've got UCLA next weekend. You've got Oregon. That scares the you-know-what out of me because that's one of the best defenses in the Pac-12. They've had no issue rushing the passer this year. Need that depth. Without that depth, I just don't know how I feel about this, about our chances. Defensive line, there's really one guy that stands out to me, right? And it's Anthony Cooper. Cooper has not had very much playing time this year, mostly to the injuries that he's battled. They're just lingering stuff for him. And we haven't had him out there. The good news is CJ Fight has looked very good, which not a surprise. And, you know, everybody knows how big a fan I am of Mr. Fight. You still need Cooper out there. He's a veteran. He's a very consistent player for the team. You know, he's been a very important piece of the puzzle for the last few years for the team. And you would really like him to be able to get back into that lineup to continue providing depth at the position. It's really just about depth on this team right now, man. It was the offensive line that I just discussed. The defensive line needs that depth. You also are looking at beyond injuries here. Clayton Smith is another guy I want to highlight because Smith's presence is so impactful when he's able to get on the football field consistently. You know, he's dealt with some really crappy officiating that has knocked him out of games for BS targeting calls. He's also been banged up. It feels like he's been walked off the field like 3 times this year. I know it's at least twice. And it's just so hard to deal with, right? But in the same sense, when he's on the field, he is a difference maker. And you've seen him and Dorba and B.J. Green all have a ton of success this year. You saw last week that they really, really enjoyed Clayton Smith being able to stay on the football field. He had a sack and a half. His total's now 2 on the year. He's a difference maker. He's somebody that you need to be able to step up, one of the guys that you're looking to end the 2023 season with on a hot note. And then, of course, CJ Fight, I also want to mention him because he has been a really good impact player for the team. You would love to be able to have him back. Real quick, I didn't highlight this position, but I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Montana Warren. There's 4 games left, which means his red shirt is going to be available to him. He's absolutely going to get it. He's a difference maker in the secondary. Looking forward to getting him back as well. Got to talk to you guys about our friends over at Game Time. You shouldn't have to worry about getting your tickets at the last second for your next big event. Game Time is a fast and easy way to get your tickets for sports, music, comedy, theater events, and more near you with killer deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and the best price guaranteed. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. You can see the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. Those all-in prices I mentioned show the total price up front so you know you're getting a great deal without those hidden fees. You can get your tickets in seconds. It's just 2 taps. Get it for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. There's zone deals. You get to pick pick the section, and Game Time picks the seat for an average of 18% savings. And of course, with the best price guaranteed, if you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account with the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Guys, if you have yet to check out the Locked On College Football Kickoff Live, then I just don't know what you're doing with your Fridays. They go live every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. They're going to break down playoff implications, conference rivalry games, and go in depth like only Locked On can, including insight and analysis from our stable of Locked On College hosts covering their team every day. Find Locked On College Football Kickoff Live every Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern on any and all Locked On College YouTube channels, including this one. You won't want to miss it. I check it out. I recommend it. This is not something that I'm not listening to. I listen to it. It's great. Love the guys and the good work that they do. Let's go ahead and get back into our conversation now. Take a look at the next position here, and that's going to be the skill positions. We can go ahead and start with the guys that we are familiar with. Jalin Conyers, DeCarlos Brooks. We came into the season with very high expectations for both Conyers, or not both of them. Definitely for Conyers. Conyers was supposed to be our breakout offensive weapon. He was supposed to be one of the most important players on this team. Thus far, he is okay. He's had his moments, but has yet to put together a consistent 60 minutes for the team. He's been banged up. He hasn't been a total factor in the offense where he's getting his reps designed around him. That's what we need. We need Jalin Conyers to be able to step up into that role. And yes, some of it is play scheming, but a lot of it has to do with him just not quite seizing his opportunities. And we can just call it as it is, right? Conyers has not been what we hoped he would be, but there is the hope that he can end the year, those last 4 games, on a very good high note for the team. He is more than talented enough to do it. We've seen this year. He's got 2 catches of like 50-ish yards. Week 1, I want to say it was 50 on the dot. And then this past week, he had another 50-yard catch. He is capable of the big plays. We haven't seen him in the end zone yet. I know that's going to change. I would be beyond shocked if Conyers didn't find the end zone to end the year. I'll say at least 3 times. I think that those touchdowns are coming up for him. If he has less than 3, I don't know, man. I would be very, very surprised. But you need him to be able to become a factor to end the year. Elijhah Badger has been a total godsend for this team. 45 catches, 532 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's so far ahead of his competition, it's not even close. But Conyers second on the team with 24 catches, second on the team with 310 yards. He's ahead of Badger in yards per reception at 12.9 compared to 11.8. He's capable, man. We just need him to put it together for a full 60 minutes. If he does that, he's a beast. Also mentioned DeCarlos Brooks. When he's on the field, such a great compliment to what you've got going on with Cameron Scadaboo. Need him to stay on the field because the freshman guys, Kyson Brown, redshirt freshman Tevin White, like they're part of what we want to be able to see, but they need some time to be able to get going. And in the meantime, you've got 2 vets in Scadaboo and with Brooks that are big-time players for the team. But Brooks is averaging 5.2 yards per carry. He just had a hat trick for the team against Wazoo. He stays on the field, you're going to have a very good backfield. You've seen just how much better this team is when Brooks is on the field compared to when he's not. Need him to stay on the field. A couple guys that are returning from injury that I want to mention. Jordyn Tyson came into the year as a very exciting guy, but somebody that we knew needed some time. I was very high on him and actually dedicated a podcast to predicting his stats if he had played the whole season. If you want to go back and roast me, by all means. He is had to take his time to get back onto the field. And that was always going to be an expectation. That being said, this guy is a superstar in the making. I believe that. I will stand by that. If he doesn't do it at his time at ASU, hold me accountable for it, but I will stand by that. I think he's a superstar in the making. Very good receiver. So if he finds his way back onto the football field, he's going to be a massive godsend for the team. We haven't been able to see Xavier Guillory be able to put it together for the entirety of the season, which is a big bummer because he was another guy that I was really high on, a guy that a lot of people were really high on, and he's starting to fall off lately. Troy O'Mary is really starting to flourish and kind of seizing that number 2 role, but they still need somebody to be able to be a consistent threat for them. Melquan Stovall has been solid. We have not seen Giovanni Sanders very much this year, which is very unfortunate. But if Jordyn Tyson's able to end the year strong and show the prowess to be a deep threat for the team, you would feel very confident about him heading into next year. We just need him on the football field. And then the last guy I wanted to mention is Andre Johnson. Look, he has not been on the field very much this year. 4 catches, 36 yards, including a 20-yard long. You're not necessarily looking at him to be a major factor in the offense, but you are looking for him to provide that depth. That's the most important thing for the Sun Devils right now, is having that depth at these positions, at the skill position spots. Because where you are getting a lot of rotation, you still want those veteran savvy guys, and Andre Johnson's one of them. You're not expecting him to come out and finish the year with 20 catches and, a handful of touchdowns. You're just hoping that he's able to end the year with enough, not even production, just an impact. That's what you're looking for out of him right now. You're not looking for him to be a 1,000-yard guy or even a 500-yard guy. Not a touchdown guy, anything like that. You just need him to be able to end the year strong so that you know that you've got that depth. I believe he's got another year for a COVID season. Whatever it ends up being, you're just looking for him to be able to be a factor to end the season. Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money line bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you're thinking about joining FanDuel, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. The app is easy to use. There's a wide variety of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. As always, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, wherever you're getting those podcasts, to hit like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. We will be back a little bit later today to discuss the basketball team. So make sure that you've got those notifications turned on so you can enjoy today's doubleheader for Spooky Day. Let's go ahead and end with the obvious, and that's the quarterbacks. You need Jaden Rashada and Drew Pyne for the remainder of this season. If you are able to get them back on the field for you, then I feel like you might be able to turn this season around, in quotes, turn the season around and find a way to win a couple more games. There's not an easy game here, but I talked about it on yesterday's podcast. I would totally encourage you guys to check it out if you haven't yet. Is ASU showed against Wazoo that they can win the close games, right? Because we've seen them be able to play close games. USC, Cal, what are they called? Washington, they're playing these close games right now. They just haven't been able to seal the deal. This game showed me and showed everybody that they can seal the deal. They just need to put together 60 minutes. Part of what I see being able to contribute to that would be a step up in quarterback play. Trenton Bourguet is facilitating games right now. That's fine. But part of the reason we haven't won games is because he's not able to take that next step for you. You win that game against Washington in Seattle if Trenton Bourguet plays better football. You are able to beat Cal if Trenton Bourguet plays better football. There's winnable games here. They just have not finished those games. Bringing back Jaden Rashada, to me, is going to be big for a couple of reasons. The first and most obvious, he gives you the best chance to win out of all 4 quarterbacks on the roster. He's the most talented. He's the highest upside. He's got the biggest arm. He's got the athletic ability. This is the player that the Sun Devils need to hopefully end the year and get you a couple more wins. I think he is coming back. I don't know when. And I would imagine they're going to keep his redshirt opportunity. So it's not going to be more than 2 more games. But I do think he's coming back. If it were up to me, I would want him the last 2 weeks against Oregon and U of A. That would be ideal in my book to have him for those games. Drew Pyne's also coming back. And, don't get me wrong, I'm not a massive Pyne guy. And quite frankly, he hasn't been that great when he has been on the field. But there's a reason that Arizona State brought him in. And it's because they think that he can get the job done for them. So if you have Drew Pyne back on the football field, he is somebody that, at worst, is Trenton Bourguet and a guy who facilitates the game. In a best case scenario, we saw him win games with Notre Dame. A lot of games with Notre Dame. I think that he could get you another win or 2 to end the year. I truly do. But even if those 2 aren't going to be guys, you need Bourguet to be able to step up as well. You just need your quarterbacks to be able to take those next steps and help you win football games. If they do that, feels like this team can get at least 1 more win, if not 2 more wins to end the season. There's opportunities here. You just got to be able to capitalize on those. Those are the guys that I think are the most important to end the year, both returning from injury and just stepping up their play. Who do you guys think we need the most to end the season? Let me know in the comments or hit me up on Twitter at RichieBrads36 and the podcast as well at LO_Sun Devils. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. Remember, wherever you get your podcast, hit like, subscribe, and turn on those notifications. We'll be back later today to talk about the basketball team for today's double feature. This is potentially going to be a staple for the basketball season. You guys will have to let me know if you like this or if I just need to find a way to cram in 6 episodes a week or maybe even 7 episodes a week. I am going to do everything I can to get you guys coverage for football and basketball for the rest of the year. So I will see you later today. Until then, you keep it locked right here on Locked On